Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of ATL on Fire. Dave, how you doing tonight?
I'm good.
Back from soccer, what was going on there?
Yep, so running some tryouts.
Yeah?
The bane of American soccer existence.
Yeah.
Terrible.
They need to change.
I know I was partially in charge, but terrible.
Well, that sounds like another
I didn't have a choice. If I had a choice, we wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But that's for another day.
But for tonight, you brought us an excellent Cabernet, correct?
Correct. It's from Paso Robles, which is a little bit lesser known in California. It's Dao, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Spelled D-A-O-U.
Yeah. It's a Cabernet. It's real nice.
It's really nice. It's kind of like fruity on the front end. I don't know. What do you think, Carmen? Do you taste what fruits or what's your description?
See, I'm never able to give a good description of wine besides good.
Delicious.
And if they push me on it, I'll say it's complex.
But it is, yeah, it's kind of sweet. And it's, and they also say just to make up like it's figs. If it's red like this, it's figs and raspberries. Like just make stuff up. That's how you look sophisticated.
That's how Mikey Dobbs gets through life, making stuff up.
Has a really, you can taste the fig in it for sure, I think.
I'm just kidding, Mikey Dobbs. Okay.
But it's delicious.
You're for reals. Don't worry.
So outside of the wine, you guys were able to enjoy the New England game yesterday. But before we get to that, let's go back and maybe recap the U.S. Open Cup game, the Lamar Hunt Open Cup game that was up in Nashville, right? And we ended up losing that game as the defending champions, right? Because we haven't played the Lamar.
It got canceled because of COVID. Like everything else. Yeah.
And, I think, overall between the two soccer games, we're seeing, some advancements with Thiago Almada kind of slowly progressing and showing his class. And we're also seeing a lot of the same issues, which I know you're going to get into. But, I think, New England game, right? We saw some changes, right, in terms of switching to like non-inverted winger play, which we've been asking for. Yeah. And curious what your opinion is as we get into that. And goalkeeping is still a real problem. We'll talk about
Shuttleworth.
That. Our defense is maybe good for 80%, and then boy, do we have some lapses, and boy, do we have some tactical issues that just keep on going.
It seems to only take the other team going up the field twice to score two goals on us.
And Dave.
Which is a problem.
And Dave.
Yeah.
Most importantly, Gutman, which I think is how you do pronounce it. At least
we've been effing that up. Yeah. Sorry, Gutman. We've been calling you Gutman. Sorry.
Yeah. I've been following your lead on that, but he still can't score. So until he scores,
Gutman.
Until he scores, he's Gutman.
No, we got to call him the right name, even though he's shambolic in front of goal, and you're probably right, or at least so far right.
So, it was up in Nashville. They've got a brand new stadium, right? And it looks pretty beautiful on TV. I know you and I were trying to talk about making it up there for this next weekend. We're playing them in the MLS League schedule. Unfortunately, I can't get babysitting. I don't know if you're still trying to make that happen, but man, that's a great soccer stadium. It looks great on TV.
It looks gorgeous, yeah. And the Nashville fans have really come out. I mean, I think there was some talk early on that, is Nashville really going to be a soccer town? And, heck with that. They're a soccer town.
Yeah.
So it's really our real rival. I mean, although they killed it by moving them to the Western Division, right? I mean, we were all set up to, have epic matches against them left and right.
So I say we just jump into it. We got up early on them in the first half. We got 2 goals. In the 12th minute of the game, we can maybe go to the highlights here and check it out. Moreno slots a ball up the corner to Gutman. It's a beautiful pass. Again, Moreno with just such a great touch. And he crosses it to Almada, who gets to it, making kind of a near post run and slots it in, I think, the far netting. So what did you think of this goal?
Great start.
Here it is, kind of coming across the middle. Josetu plays it to Moreno. Outside of the foot, just kind of pokes it up into the corner, and it slows down somehow in the... Yep. 1-0.
You should make a note of this goal being a Gutman cross for a goal. We'll get to it, folks.
Note to self. It's in my
Note
notes.
to it, how it happened. Gutman cross to Almada for a nice finish at the front post.
And then 28 minutes into the game, again, Moreno is involved in the build-up. And, it's really another probing ball into the middle of the box where Moreno is basically, kind of posted up by himself with 4 other players and flicks it and just nails it into the far post. Makes Zimmerman look absolutely silly as he kind of does it here as Zimmerman goes by and goes, "What just happened?"
Could you see the class on that? I mean, who flicks it over the defender's outstretched foot and then just whips it in the corner? I don't score those goals. Do you, Mikey Dobbs?
No. So I'm watching.
I score a lot of goals, but they're just kind of side footer in the corner.
A lot of people. That's like a Thierry Henry style goal. It really is. So he's showing his his
or a Dennis Bergkamp,
right?
But also, both of those.
Yeah,
guys
just all confidence in that. And then when we went into halftime, I didn't feel great. I just kind of knew that
at 2-0 up, you didn't feel good.
I did.
Why is that, Mikey Dobbs?
It was more of a feeling than anything. I would have felt good had we had that third one, but I just didn't feel right. I just knew if they got one back, and sure enough, they do.
Can I make a suggestion why you didn't feel good?
What's that?
Because we're not getting the little things right, the tactics right, the free kick defending right, and we literally give up 2 goals every 2 times they come up the field.
That might be the reason.
We're going to get to it in a minute. I don't want to, foreshadow too much, but we got some stats coming at your way.
I love it. But this one was, they moved it out of the back quickly and put a probing ball straight up the middle to their striker who was covered by Franco, I think, on this goal, if I have this one right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, Franco does a good job trying to stay with them and kind of at the last minute maybe unnecessarily leans in a little too much because I think he did enough maybe to put him off, but didn't give the referee enough of a reason to think that it wasn't a foul on the back. And the guy goes down soft and they give a PK. Yep. That's how I saw it.
He took a bad angle, Franco. He allowed the pace to get behind him way too easily. Yeah. I don't really think it's a penalty, but when you let a guy get directly behind you that easily, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah. And that was just it. I felt like he did enough on the initial little shove, which right there would not have been a call. And then that last little lean in there, he gave the referee kind of a reason for not having a reason to give him the PK because both of them just kind of fell over.
What's the opposite of boom shakalaka?
Yeah.
We don't have one of those sounds.
We don't.
That's the call. That's what I think about the call, Mikey Dobbs.
I do too. But you know what I mean?
It's a super soft penalty.
It's a super soft penalty, but it's ones that you see given all the time now in modern soccer.
Yeah, and in fairness, again, when the guy gets directly behind you, you're asking for it. Once that happens, you really can't push, challenge at all, and, you're going to get the call.
So this is another goal.
So first of all, what did you think of the second penalty claim?
Hold on here. This is my rant here. I'm just getting to it. So
I didn't want to get in the way of that.
This is the controversial play here, right? So they get a free kick here. If we jump to 206 in the. Oh no! So this is it's a little further. I think it's 206, and this was the goal that was disallowed. Zimmerman came in and.
Oh, I was asking about the second penalty, but okay, let's get to this one.
Yeah, we can go back there. We can talk about it. So this was this was the controversial one, at least on the Twitter handle, Dave. I kind of got called people out. It was going back and forth with Philippe Cardenas on our Twitter handle.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, because first off, he just said that the linesman was shambolic, which I disagree with for the first reason, which the linesman on this should have put his flag up because there is a very clear pick, in my opinion, on the play where the guy does a hip check against one of our players just before the ball is kicked. He's coming from an offside position as he does it. So you can see in the frame here, he's the guy.
Yeah, he's starting offsides.
Offsides.
If you're not watching on YouTube, it's a free kick on the right side of the box, outside, 10 yards outside the box. We have our classic zonal marking with everybody spaced 2 by 2 apart, like Legos or Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
and the Nashville player is standing 2 yards or a yard offside.
So if you hit play and like pause again, you'll see the player basically do a hip check on the guy here. So as it goes, he kind of uses his advantage of being an offside to just throw his hip into a guy and kind of throw him off. Again, pretty soft. I don't know that did anything to prevent a player from getting to Walker Zimmerman, but it was clearly intentional in terms of what he was doing there. Agree. I probably wouldn't even have called it a foul, but
I'm surprised by you, Mikey Dobbs.
I know.
Because usually you're like, oh, come on, this is football. These are grown-ups.
Yeah.
And that's not a freaking call, right? Nobody gets, no blood, no foul.
I'm with you. Okay. I think if you're going to call it a foul, call it a foul. But then I'm like, okay, well, why is it, like everyone else, why is the linesman throwing his flag up in an offside still position, right?
Yeah, why?
He wasn't shaking it. And that kind of led to like some research for me. And
okay.
So I end up on Law 11 of the FIFA rules, right?
Oh, do tell. What is Law
offside.
11?
It just talks about all the ways you can be offsides, and we'll get to that in a minute. But one of the things you can do to be offside is coming back from an offside position, interfering or bumping a player as you come back from an offside position, which is basically what that is. Except technically, he's not offsides, right? Because when the ball is finally kicked, he was actually back in an onside position when he was hip checking him. It was pretty clear that was definitely the case when his foot was hitting the ball. But then I go to if you go to the rules there, Carmen, on one of the other tabs. So
we have the rule, people.
I have the rules. And so
let's get technical.
I felt good. I was like, well, is there a case where maybe this should have been called offside and the linesman's right and we have an intelligent MLS referee? So I'm like reading through, and if you scroll down here,
did
Carmen,
you just use intelligent and MLS referee in the same sentence?
It's oxymoron. And we go down. And if you keep going, I'm like, oh, okay, I got to find it here. And I think it's right there.
Oh, so it's at the very end of
the top bullet here. I'm like, I know I'm in Law 11. A player moving from or standing in an offside position is in the way of an opponent and interferes with the movement of the opponent towards the ball and is in an offside. It's an offside offense, right? If he impacts the ability of a player to basically make a play. And then what I missed is then I thought it was emphasizing this is Law 12. But in fact, I'm no longer on. This isn't Law 12, which I thought it was self-referencing.
Law 12 probably comes after Law 11.
I know, but this is not. This page that I'm reading, right, is Law 11, right? So I thought it was like self-referencing. I'm like, Philippe's wrong, so I kind of went after him. And
okay.
So Philippe and Mike, who's the other Twitter guy, I can man up and say I'm wrong. Matt Knoop, on the other hand, who was arguing with this on, I'm not apologizing to you, but anyway.
Sorry, Matt.
But the interesting thing, and so this is considered a foul or misconduct.
Wow.
Yeah, under Law 12. So
we've reached the end of the internet. Law 11 of the game, FIFA.
I mean, the fact y'all are doing research.
I know.
Yeah, what's come of this podcast? Oh, my goodness.
But no, I do find it weird, though, right? So if you're coming back from a play and you set a pick, right?
Yep.
And you're setting a pick just as you get back into an onside position, or you're doing it in an offside position, which I can only imagine you're like hip checking him while you're behind the ball. That's considered offside.
Yeah. Fair.
Oh no, and that one, no, it's saying that it's Law 12, so it's that is still a foul, and that's where I was getting confused. Anyway,
okay,
onward.
So I was going to ask you about. So there was Nashville tried to have a second penalty called, right? And it was actually more of a penalty than the first one that was called, right? And they didn't call it.
They don't have it in the highlights.
Yeah, no, they didn't show it in the highlights. It's on the other side of the box. And I think we were a bit fortunate. I actually, as much as I thought the first one was shambolic and never, ever, ever should have been a penalty, the second one I kind of thought was a penalty. And, this is classic refereeing. Once he called the first one, he was never going to call the second one, right? So it would have taken somebody to literally, chop a leg off or something.
So they stripped the goal.
Which we saw in the NWSL the other day, too, so I should remind you.
So they stripped the goal here, Dave, and then it's back to our same old set piece problems, Dave.
Okay.
It's a long throw in from like the top of the 18.
Does that even count as a set piece?
And it gets flicked to the far post and kind of shot crossed in, headed in. But Dave, I want you to look at the same observation you made a million times. We had two guys that were, I think, man marking and two on the front post that were zone marking. All four of them come out to mark two guys, and we don't even get to the ball. And what does that lead to? What we've talked about is one of the guys went up and won it, flicked to the far post where obviously somebody's... Am I learning something here from you, Dave? I hate it.
It's interesting because...
I just had to admit I was wrong to Philippe on the podcast, and I'm saying that Dave is teaching me something. Damn it.
It's interesting because I'm all for a combination of zone and man marking. You might say, you're so against the zone. No, I actually think that there should be zonal players. But we, in fairness to Pineda and the assistant coaches, we started out with the full team zoning. That quickly got changed, and now we're down to half the team zoning. So 5 players zone on all corners and throws and whatever inside the 6-yard box. Now, why you need 5 players zoning inside the 6-yard box is beyond me. I think you should never, ever, ever have more than 3, and probably 2 is sufficient.
Yeah.
Because you have man marked, then there's responsibility. You have 2 guys who are free, or maybe 3 if you're being totally paranoid, and then you're good.
So in between this, we had Araujo kind of take a ripper from outside. It deflects off somebody's head and goes off the crossbar. That was like one chance that we had.
Unlucky.
Well, unlucky, but you create your own luck when you rip a shot like that. And then Dave,
was that outside or inside the box? Did you know? Did you make a note of that?
Oh, it was way outside.
Okay,
yeah, it was a long range shot, and it was really deflected.
You can bring that up as a counter example in a minute.
It was like nowhere on frame, but a Nashville defender headed it, and it then ended up arcing and going off the post. Dave, I'm gonna let you describe this kind of breakaway for the extra time goal that Nashville got that led to Lennon and Franco and Bobby Shuttleworth just being a disaster, and showing Lennon has to leave his feet for no reason, and just lack of composure there on, letting a guy even score in such, he did a great job scoring a bad.
I have to say, as Carmen is going to call it up, I have down that we were decent in the first half, obviously, good lead, completely capitulated in the second half. And I wrote midway through the second half, if we survive, it will be a miracle. And even when we introduced Campbell as a third center back, so much for him having a groin injury, but and then later waited till the very last minute to introduce Sosa. At the end of regulation, Mikey Dobbs, the expected goals, 1.58 for Nashville and only 1.08 for Atlanta. So despite that early lead, we failed to press on the gas, and we just totally capitulated.
Yeah. And you could feel it coming. I mean, like we said, at halftime, you almost felt that it was written. I don't know. So I don't know. Walk us through this goal, Dave. Like, what did you see here in terms of both defenders? Bobby Shuttleworth.
It's basically a long, aimless ball. He gets on it early, and then after that, it's scramble, scramble, scramble. Right? He just runs right by. At this point, we have 3 center backs in the game, I should point out. And Shuttleworth comes out. He goes around Shuttleworth. Campbell goes back to defend the end line, right? And, yeah.
It's just so JV.
It's like the Keystone Cops, really.
Oh, I don't know. And that's all I have to say.
It's Lennon and Campbell, and, Lennon's trying to tackle. He gets in Shuttleworth's way and then comes back and distracts Shuttleworth, and then he scores.
So I don't even want to talk about this game anymore. Let's just put it in the past. Maybe a good thing with the injuries. We got less games on the schedule moving forward.
It was terrible.
Yeah. Onward.
Okay.
So New England yesterday, It was yesterday, right? You all got to.
That's correct.
I had to watch it on delay. I was coaching my U6 team.
Okay.
Which was kind of nice. Got back, was able to just hang out in the deck. I ignored all my texts, which is probably.
But you could only watch it on delay because it was the national game of the week on ESPN, right?
Which was so nice that the one.
Somebody tell me, why can't you record on
like ESPN Plus or something like that?
No, what's the
Bally's?
Bally's? That's it. Why can't you record the Bally's?
No, I know no one's a fan of Bally's.
No, everybody hates Bally's. But what kind of channel doesn't let you record?
I don't know.
I mean,
Not me.
you know, they invented TiVo like 35 years ago.
I know. I love TiVo. Did you ever have TiVo, Carmen?
No, I went straight to the whole.
Oh,
Like literally, their
You missed. You
their
missed.
their interface is still like back, and then that's like 15, 20 is still the best navigational interface.
well, it
ever.
actually worked.
It
Unlike
actually-
many of these new systems.
Yeah, it was really simple. It was the other thing of TiVo was like really fast too. Like there was no delay in the menu, so I think they must have done some things like on the device to make it work really fast, and that just was really satisfying. It made a really nice clicking noise as you change. I don't know. I'm getting nostalgic, but I miss my TiVo. I think DirecTV bought them out, and then they didn't use the menu. Damn you, DirecTV.
Damn it. They just wanted the name. So when we were dominating against New England in the first half,
Yep.
my daughter leans over to me in the game and says, "We're really dominating, playing well." And I said, "Yeah, that's great. We've been doing that all the time, but watch us give up one goal on one chance."
Yeah.
And she's like, No. I mean, we're really dominating. Foreshadow.
Yeah, because that first 20 minutes, right? There was
We were on fire.
there's just zero pressure from them. It looked like they were in no mood to give us any pressure.
No, they looked like they didn't want to be here, want to get back on the bus.
And you know, to be fair, even the goal they got was a goalkeeping mistake. But let's go to the attempt that Almada had on the free kick here at the beginning of the game. Again, shows the class of Almada. You know that he knows how to put it on frame. Difficult kick from pretty close, so had to loop it over the wall with power and accuracy, and does both. And Turner makes just an absolute amazing save. They do this silly thing where the guy lays on the ground and they don't even jump, which defeats the point of that. But to be fair to Almada on that, he took it so fast, I think he got the wall a little off guard on their jumping sequence.
They do have that. Clearly, the assistant coaches are working on not letting them get timed on these things, and that's good. As we'll note from the stats foreshadow.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be working. But you know, Turner, so there's a reason why, folks. He's on his way to Arsenal. He's already been signed for Arsenal. He's the U.S. national team goalkeeper, and he's only here because they loaned him back for the remainder of the season.
Yeah,
He's real good. At least shot stopping wise, he is.
He palmed that from kind of behind his body. It was almost crossing the line.
I don't think Shuttleworth makes that save.
Yeah, but Almada shows his class again a few minutes later here off of a corner kick, and will not be denied by Turner on this play. You know, I think it came off a corner kick.
It got deflected. He brought it down out of a 10-yard. It goes popping up in the air.
Yeah, here it goes, gets crossed, then pops up, recycled after this Araujo cross, I think. And it just lands right
Look
in
at that.
Almada.
I mean, boom, boom, boom.
Just
I mean,
that's what everyone was waiting for Barco to do, right? Because Barco could do it for
He can't do that.
The under 23. No, he can do it.
No, he can't.
He was doing it for the under 23 national team,
Not
but
really.
couldn't do it for Atlanta United. Yes, he
No
could.
offense.
Absolutely. He was a bigger star in my opinion when I watched the under 23 World Cup. Than even Almada, because he was doing plays like that. But
the thing that
Almada's better.
I think actually Barco can do that. I'm just kidding, giving a hard time. But the thing that makes Almada a better player than Barco is his awareness of what's around him.
Yeah.
Barco tended to put his head down when he dribbled, and Barco could also score those goals. Barco could also run at players, but wasn't wasn't the creative force. I mean, the thing about Almada is he makes teams go because he moves the ball so quickly.
And he does, like, he's not getting fouled because I don't think no one's around him.
No one's ever near him because the ball's gone.
So there's no flopping like we saw with Barco. Totally different
There's no
style
opportunity. We don't know whether he flops because no one's ever near him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is the best way.
That's so refreshing. And I think a lot of people don't notice him out there. And this is
It's
always
subtle.
a good sign of a great player when you're not seeing him involved with some of that stuff, you know? It's just,
Also, you don't get hurt if you don't get fouled.
that's true. So, all right. So then what happens here, if we go to the New England goal where they tie it up, this is, pretty good passing from them, in midfield. They do a good job of doing some.
So here's the thing, though, right? Pause it, right? So here's the problem, right? As we've been saying over and over, we have the unbalanced lineup. Right now, we've paused it. New England has just taken over the ball. We have 3 guys back, which is what we typically have. It's Gutman, it's Dijon, and it's Franco. They're evenly spaced across the middle. What is not there is Lennon because he's gone flying up the field. And as you notice, the guy who's trying to cover for him, Ibarra, who's trying to come out of the center midfield to cover him. Do you think he's going to be able to cover him there?
No.
So they've played it to the center forward. The outside left midfielder is running, and Ibarra's trying to come 30 yards back from the midfield to chase back into the right back spot, right, to protect against Lennon. And look what happens.
A little slot up into the box to Busca, who just, if you watch on this next play how bad Bobby Shuttleworth's footwork is on this, he comes out and then pauses and just loses all his footing. Because if he'd have just stayed composed, he's a good enough shot stopper to almost stop anything from that angle. And
he shoots from far enough away. He had plenty of time to close his legs.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's so close and you have no chance. I mean, that's a good 5 yards away.
Ugh. It's painful to watch.
I want you to go back one more time, though, because I want you to notice one other thing that I noticed for the first time because we don't really get to see Dijon very much. But Dijon is really slow at reading the danger. Multiple times in this game, he's slow coming across. Yeah. Now, Franco gets beat, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not really Dijon's fault, but he's slow to read the danger and to come over. Watch out right now. Mm-hmm. Then he comes over, right? It's that extra hesitation. It means he can't get there.
Yeah, because he took a glance upfield right when...
there was nobody there, right? So his only responsibility was to go help.
Yeah, just bad instinct. All right, we're moving on. Let's get through these highlights.
And I noted that multiple times in the game, he was slow to come over.
This goal is so painful. This second goal that we gave up to New England. Dave, in this goal, the team is just lulled into just not being aware of, just because we had 7 people back and one, count the guys, right? There's a guy who crosses the ball and he crosses it to one player on the far post over 7 Atlanta United players. And that's all that was happening. And it's because on this transition here they get it, they pick it up in midfield, and they just kind of glide back a little bit. The striker moves up into the far post area. We got 7 players back.
Against 1.
And just settled it on his chest. You tell me, though, that seemed to be almost over relaxation on the fact that we did have numbers back, but no responsibility on the only guy that mattered.
I have to say, Franco, again, foreshadowing, I've maybe looked at the goals, and Franco's been beat twice over the top on almost exactly the same play. He tends to get a little lost with the ball in the air and doesn't react too well.
But why isn't Gutman also closing that fast? He's got 4 other players around him that can deal with if he gets beat.
I agree.
So it's a combination of you can make a beautiful cross over Franco's head if you have that much time.
And I really thought in live that he was definitely offsides. The whole New England player, including Busca, thought he was offsides. He never celebrated the goal. He just stood there and waited for them to go back.
I don't think it was
offside. But on the
offside.
clip, you go back, he is not offsides.
Yeah, he's not offsides.
It was the right call.
Yeah, okay, good. We're right on that. All right, so there we go. And then Almada is all class on this next goal. Gosh, he does.
You mean Araujo or Almada or Moreno or all three?
All three, but
because it's an interchange with all three, isn't it?
I give 90% of the credit to Almada on this goal, from the buildup that he was involved in to basically flipping it to Araujo, who did make a great run. But what an incredible effort here by Almada. Shrugs somebody off, plays it out wide,
runs.
Again,
looks to get it back. They play it back in front of him. They get to Moreno, who slots it back to Almada, who slips it through to Araujo. Goal.
Just the vision to see him making that run and to be able to flip it with the outside of his foot, just right to the right spot. It was well timed, amazing. That's all Almada. I mean,
yeah,
somebody flips you that. I mean, a great run by Araujo.
And he lifted it off the ground to get it over the defender a little bit in real time. Just watch him flip it. Yep. Yeah. It's nice.
So I don't want to bore the listeners or the watchers with too many highlights. I think that's pretty much it. There was a lot of activity after that. Almada nearly sets up Araujo on kind of a similar kind of longer pass up the center there. There was another banger he shot from outside that forced Turner to make a save. Mm-hmm. Busca almost scores on us again.
Mm-hmm. Should have scored. Yeah, should have scored. You could see it coming. Oh, my goodness. And we were just a lucky prayer.
And then Moreno in the corner decides he wants to dribble 4 people, does so successfully, yes. Gets to the end line and crosses it back. And we miss a similar kind of opportunity that Busca just missed on the other side. So, yeah, the game was
back and forth. It could have been another goal for each side. Yep.
Full of action. Right?
Yep. So, it was an entertaining game. But again, you have to say that we were overall by far the better team, had more possession, and we're giving up too many goals on too few chances, Mikey Dobbs.
Yeah. And then, Ibarra had a header off of a corner, should have gone in. Did a nice job of it. No, and then New England hits a ripper and hits the far post, and it comes bouncing straight off the upright. So it was a lot of back and forth. I think Atlanta had the edge there. But
so you know what I went and did, Mikey Dobbs? So it's a third of the way through the season, and we've been talking about those who are dear podcast listeners who listen all the time, regular listeners, will know that we've been harping on a number of things. And I decided that we really need to know whether we got it right or we're full of it, right? So I went and rewatched every goal that Atlanta United has scored this season and every goal that we've conceded. We're now basically a third of the way through the season.
Right.
We have scored 19. We have conceded 19. I'm including the Nashville U.S. Open Cup because they're obviously a legitimate game. I'm not including the game in Tennessee,
right?
Because that wasn't really
sway our goals.
The USL,
yeah, that's fair. So what am I up against here?
Well, I'm going to ask you a series of questions to which I have answers. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, we've talked about Lennon just bombing forward. And even as we talked about on this clip, the idea that Ibarra or Rossetto are responsible for covering in behind the right back is pretty shambolic. But have we really given up more goals on Lennon's side compared to Gutman's side? What's the answer? Because my point being that
I'm going to say no, because most goals in general in soccer come on the left back side. So my answer is no.
My point being that Lennon is way more up than Gutman these days. They're often keeping Gutman back as a 3. We showed it beautifully. If you want to go to the YouTube clip, thank you, Carmen, for pausing it right on the exact moment that we needed. And yet we have this feeling that it's, Lennon up the right side, we're getting beaten behind him. The answer is yes, Mikey Dobbs.
Oh, we are.
We have given up 2 goals on Lennon's side for every goal that we've given up on Gutman's side.
Well, that makes the universe right, excuse me. Because, I just see that's what I feel like I saw, but it's usually counterintuitive, so I went the other way.
It's 9 goals on Lennon's side to only 5 goals on Gutman's side. Okay, but was it worth it? Right? So did Lennon actually getting forward amount to us scoring goals?
The answer is no, Dave.
Okay.
You mean scoring goals from Lennon?
So
Or in
how
general,
many
whether
goals
it's assists
have
or
we
goals?
scored off of Lennon's crosses?
Very few. He's, delivered some crosses, but I'm going to say this season, 3.
The answer is 0. We have yet to score off a Lennon cross. Right? I mean, how many times? And it's not Lennon's fault. He's open.
Yeah.
We're using him. He's putting in good crosses. But we don't have anybody who's designed to go score that. I mean, Martinez, but he's been out, right?
I think Cisneros can do it. He just needs to find his rhythm and the timing.
So, on top of that, how many goals have we scored if you include Gutman's crosses? I'll give you a hint. You saw one.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with 2, but that's it.
The answer is 1. You saw the only one out of the 19 goals that Gutman crossed in the U.S. Open Cup to Almada at the front post. Now, in fairness, there is one other goal. Let's see.
How many goals does Gutman have?
0.
Okay. I know Lennon has 1. He had 1 in the previous MLS matchup. Who was that? That was Chicago Fire. He had the third goal in that, I think, third or fourth. He had the fourth goal against Chicago Fire where he cleaned it up.
Yeah.
So I know he has at least 1, but you're saying 0 assists. Or 0 assists from crosses.
0 assists from crosses. I didn't go through whether it depends. Sometimes on MLS, you get an assist when you pass it back and he passes it over. But no, never did he go down the right side and cross it for a goal. If he had an assist, I would say it's 0 assists. I haven't looked that up, but if he had an assist, it's one of those weak MLS second ball assists.
Yeah.
There was no ball crossed by him for a goal. He did score a goal off a rebound.
Yeah.
And there was one other goal that we got from him being down the side, which is when he was brought down for the PK.
Fair enough.
So he got in behind once. So with all the attacking that we have done.
No, they didn't give that PK to him.
Yes, we did. We scored a penalty kick.
I thought we were talking about he should have gotten
Against Charlotte, the 2-1 victory late in the game. No, it was not late in the game. It was the first goal, but it was still pretty late. It was in the second half. Lennon was played over the top. I think Hernandez played the ball, and he was brought down right up by the end line, and Joseph Martinez converted the penalty kick.
Okay. What other stats you got?
I have it. Don't question the research.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so of all the attack that we've had out wide, all of it, we have scored 2 goals. One in the U.S. Open Cup where Gutman crosses to Almada, and a second one where Lennon gets down the side and gets drawn for a penalty kick.
So you're saying we should just eliminate going wide altogether in our game?
So what I'm saying is,
what are you saying, Dave? We shouldn't use winger play. We shouldn't be using those guys to cross the ball ever because we just can't do it.
I'm saying that we need to attack more through the middle vertically quickly. But have we really scored more goals up the middle?
Well, not until recently. If you did this on a timeline, I'm going to say yes. If you looked at the last 3 to 4 games, I'm going to say yes. If you're going to say that the ones leading up to those 4 games, no.
We have scored 13 goals up the middle and only 4 from out wide.
Oh, okay. So then, yes all around.
So why are we sending him forward?
Nice job with the tricky questions, you know?
Well done.
You're baiting me, but you're making me second guess myself.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be kidding me. Okay. All right, so we've been on the assistant coaches and Pineda for all of the free kick madness and is being awful both offensively and defensively. Pineda says he gives the assistant coaches the opportunity to actually draw up the plays offensively and defensively. And so my question is basically, is that worth it? Have we given up more goals off of set pieces or scored more on set pieces?
Oh, we've definitely given up more goals off set pieces, hands down. I would be flabbergasted if it's the other way around.
We've given up 6 and which is 30% of the goals we've given up, Mikey Dobbs.
I don't believe you. I feel like it's more. Like,
It's
I feel
6.
Like, I feel like how you're
I
defining.
know
this,
it felt like more than 6.
No.
That includes corners and free kicks. I can go through all 19 if you want.
No, we do not. We're not doing that. But I am gonna, maybe admit I'm wrong again by doing my own set of research on this. But that doesn't feel right.
We've given up 6, which is 30% of the goals, roughly 30% of our 19 goals, and we have only scored 3.
Okay, still a bad ratio.
Yeah, it's not good. 1 on a direct free kick and 2 off of corners is what we've scored. Okay.
We know that that's due to his own defense.
Yeah, so we're talking about this, and it's not just so. Honestly, giving up 6 goals this early in the season off of free kicks is awful. You never, ever, ever want to be on the negative side of scoring free kicks versus giving up goals. So 3 is not great. If you're doing well on free kicks by this part of the season, I looked at some of the other teams, you probably want to be in the more 4, 5, even 6 range. Yeah. Giving up 6 means you're amongst the lead in the entire league. I mean, we've been awful.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still, we're lingering in 7th place in the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, but my point is they get so frustrated, and we're lingering in 7th place because Pineda's not getting the details right. If you didn't have Ibarra and Sejdic and Rossetto covering for Lennon, then we wouldn't give up, how many pieces did I say to the left and right? It's 2v1, right? It's 9 goals on the left versus 5 on the right.
Yeah.
Right? That wouldn't happen if you didn't have that crazy unbalanced thing. And if we didn't have zonal marking in the back, we wouldn't give up 6 free kicks. And on top of all that, even with all the fancy things they've done offensively on free kicks, we've still only scored 3.
Yeah.
So, okay, last one.
Last one.
We've talked a lot about the inverted wingers, right? Cutting in and shooting sort of from top of the box. And I've said, statistically speaking, shooting from outside the box is a shambolic thing to do, statistically speaking. We have scored 2 notable goals with inverted wingers, one from Dom Dwyer and one from Mulroney cutting back in and scoring on inverted goals.
Did Araujo have one?
No. He has never cut in and scored. He has scored goals, but not on inverted one. And I was going to ask
when did he score that brilliant goal? Wasn't that the first goal he had of the season? No, that was
running through the middle where he pulled his hamstring.
Is the one I'm thinking of 2021?
Yes.
Where he went in. Okay. Yep.
When he finally scored one. Okay. So what percentage, how many of our goals have been scored from inside the box versus outside the box?
Oh, I'm going to go with... 2 of the ones that have been outside the box, I think, were Almada. So I'm going to go with 2 outside the box. So because I know Almada scored 2 from outside the box.
I, of course, eliminated the penalty kick because that doesn't count, right? Yeah. But we've scored 14 goals inside the box and only 4 outside of the box. That 4 includes the 2 that you had from Almada, 1 on the free kick
Brooks
from
Lennon
Brooks Lennon from 30 yards out. And again, I don't think, even I included it as outside the box. That's not what I'm talking about because we said on free kicks we should be going for goal. But I'm talking about in live play whether we should be going for goal. We have only 3 goals from live play outside the box. It's 2 from Almada, who clearly should have the green light.
By the way, I was about to say, I was like, regardless of your stats, Almada can shoot anytime he wants.
Sure.
From outside the box. Everyone else, not so. Even Araujo, his shots lately outside of the box have been atrocious.
The other one is Joseph Martinez.
Okay.
Straight up the middle from about a foot or 2 outside the box. It wasn't very far.
He just ripped it straight up the
Yeah, we caused a turnover, and he came right in, and he ripped it from there.
Are we gonna see Joseph Martinez in the month of June?
Yes. Oh, for sure, in the month of June. The question is whether we're going to see him in May.
Why do you think so? We're so delicate with people's injuries. Why do you think we'll see Joseph
Because he's
Martinez?
training twice a week, folks. He's already working on finishing. He's training twice a day.
Okay.
And he's working on finishing. And anybody who's training twice a day could be playing, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Even maybe if he's not ready for a full 90, why not 10 or 15?
So we've asked a lot of questions, but I got questions for you now, Dave.
Well, I just want to, before we go to that, I just want to say, so looking at the first third of the season, the 19 goals that we've scored and the 19 goals that we've conceded, the patterns clearly show the things that we're talking about are clearly problems. And they're not hard problems to fix.
No.
So why? If I can do this...
Well, that throw-in...
on YouTube.
The throw-in observation, when I'm starting to learn from Dave, like I said, like, how can we have a throw-in where we have 4 guys going to the ball, none of them win it, and they flick it to the far post, and it's just an easy, sequence from there for them to find a way to get the back of the net. It's happened. It's happened too many times.
Yep.
Wait, so are y'all saying it's coaching?
Yes.
Okay.
On those things, yeah. I mean, he's doing a lot. He's also doing a lot of things correct.
Yeah,
and you're seeing incremental improvements in some of the things he's getting right. But the problem of the things he's getting wrong is almost as atrocious as our Wednesday night team, the way we defend in the second half because we're too old to get back and play. It's like we need to get some younger players in there.
Well, the reason why it's so frustrating is because I agree with you 100%. During live play, we're getting better. We're getting more vertical. We're doing all these things. The interchanging is good. We're creating chances. And we're giving up stupid chances because, one, we're stubborn and we won't fix our free kicks, even though we've given up 6 so far. And 2, he won't actually fix the shambolic tactics where we automatically send Lennon up the field and we ask a center midfielder to come out and cover for him.
Speak. He's heating up. He's on fire.
Oh, speaking of fire, Dave, I've got ATL on fire trivia.
Oh, no.
Since I went on my rant about offsides, I went way down the wormhole of the dark.
It's not
web,
about Rule 12, is it? Because I've only made it to Rule 11.
It kind of is, right? So, is being offside, being offside is not considered a foul, okay? So what is it? In the
something where the referee blows the whistle, starts the game, and gives you a free kick.
Yeah. Offsides is unsporting, okay?
It's unsportsmanlike?
It's unsporting.
Oh.
Right? It's not misconduct. It's an offense. That's unsporting.
I might have gone with an infraction, but I never would have said it's unsporting.
It's kind of treated like a foul in the game, like as a spectator, but it's not. It's just being unsporting.
So is it a direct or indirect kick, Micah Dobbs?
It is an indirect kick.
Yeah.
And, way back in 1832, Dave, right?
I was alive then. It's fine.
Offside had a different nickname. And it kind of went back to the rugby's days when, they were kind of playing really rough soccer. But what was the name of the offside position back in that time? It was called sneaking, Dave.
Sneaking,
right? Because
I like it.
Which is why they implemented the rule.
Can we use that now?
Sneaky, you've
sneaking. Been caught sneaking again.
So
Joseph Martinez is the biggest sneaker out there.
I thought that was kind of a cool phrase. He's sneaking around out there.
He's sneaking around. My wife gets so mad because Joseph Martinez he refuses to get back on sides. He kind of likes to annoy them, and then every once in a while they just play it to him, and he's like, "Oh, what are you playing to me? I'm 10 yards offside." She's like, "Get back on side. You're a professional player."
He's sneaking.
He's just sneaking.
You're going to talk.
So don't worry about it. He's just sneaking, and he's trolling at the same time. Strategic sneaking. There you go.
This question,
ladies and gentlemen, Carmen, our producer, strategic sneaking.
This one goes to 11. This question goes to 11. Soccer is a game that no longer has rules. It has laws. Law 11 covers what? I think this is a giveaway since we were on the page earlier.
Yeah, we were talking about offside and obstructing coming back from offside.
And what doesn't cover offside is law 12, which is fouls and misconduct. Damn it.
Is it sneaking if you're offside, but then you get caught in an infraction coming back and picking? Is that still sneaking, or is that actually now a foul?
That's the whole crux of what we were talking about, and I felt like in the spirit, right? Like that's That's
Surely that's why they have C Law 12 there, because that's actually an infraction and a foul.
To me, it felt like that was more unsporting than a foul.
It's definitely unsporting.
Right? So
whether it's sneaking is another question.
I think we agree on that play, right? That hip check may not have been a foul. It was unsporting.
It's definitely unsporting. But we've now learned that all offside is unsporting because there's been too much sneaking.
So, Dave, as a restart, the free kick has long implemented the offside rule. What other restarts do not implement the offside rule?
You can't be offside on a throw-in.
That's correct.
I like it.
Boom shakalaka!
No, that's not the answer, though.
Oh,
that's
you also can't be offside on your own side of the field.
On a corner kick, you cannot.
Oh, well, that's because the ball's on the line. It's impossible to be offside.
No, so this is off of restarts.
Oh,
a free kick like we just saw in the Nashville game is a restart.
Okay.
What other restarts can you not be offside? The offsides doesn't apply.
Well, obviously a corner because there's impossible, right? Because the ball, by definition, is by the far as it can go. So you can't be ahead of the ball. If you're ahead of the ball, you're in the goal. Now, can you be offside if you're off the field? I think not. Like if you're in the goal and you're ahead of the ball, I think the answer is no. You're actually off.
So it's throw in,
yeah,
corner kick, and goal kick.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
But I gave you enough time and you were too slow. We got to get through these questions, Dave.
Well, I knew that one.
So
you also can't be offside on your own half of the field.
So that's
which is some people that forget.
That's the final question on our ATLONFIRE. So Dave, the original law was that you could be offside on any part of the field, even your own on your own side of the field.
And people forget that it's actually the law. Actually, you just looked it up, right? But the law is actually two players in between, right? Yeah. So they always assume the goalkeeper, right? So it's not actually being behind, because it's really hard to define saying you can't say you're behind the last player because there's always a goalkeeper back there. So it's actually, you have to have two players between you and the goal. And there are weird moments if the goalkeeper's gone on a walkabout. Mm-hmm. The referee's never called it. So if the goalkeeper's gone on a walkabout and is, up at midfield for some God knows reason, gives up the ball, they come back in and they actually play it on a cross. And the guy is actually technically behind the last defender, but there's only one defender there. Technically, by the letter of the law, he's offside.
Yep, and there's been circumstances where that's happened.
Yeah, I remember in the South Africa World Cup first.
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
There's one in that.
Yeah, I was.
That's so rare.
Offside, but it wasn't because
because the goalkeeper's gone on a walkabout.
But they didn't change the law until a certain point to where you could be offside anywhere on the field until before or after 1925. Before or after did they change that rule where you couldn't be offside unless you couldn't be offside in your own half of the field? Before or after 1925, Dave?
After.
It was before. It was 1907 they changed the rule. And really... it was being proposed by one of the guys in the Scottish FA in like 2000.
He's like, stop goal hanging.
So he was trying to get it pushed through because what was happening was it's this phrase here. I'm going to get it.
Is it sneaking?
No, it's not sneaking. It was called the one back. And so what would happen is the team would press all the players up and do like a major press and leave one defender back. So imagine Franco just being the one to basically play an offside trap on like two wingers. It was probably easy. I'm imagining it was probably easier for that one back to time the run of them playing it out and just catching the other guys offside. So they eventually changed the rule.
How many Newcastles or Guinnesses did they drink before they came up with that idea, the one back?
The one back.
Hey, those guys are playing are idiots. If we just leave the one guy there and, he runs up the field, they're all going to be caught outside. Well, I always say, and I think we've even talked about it on the podcast, right, that if you're the super underdog and you have no chance of winning a game, right, you should just try to totally take advantage of the rules. You send a guy 20 yards offside, right? You play the ball to him. The defenders are obviously going to put their hand up and stop. And then you just plan for that guy never to touch the ball and the guys run in and go get the goal. And the stupid defenders will fall for that every time.
I think at the pro level, though, those guys are pretty sharp.
But if you're maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe if you're like 5 or 8 yards off, where it's like not clear that you're just trying to be a jerk, but you're like way off, and then they're just like, yeah, stop because you're off, and they played it to you, and by my interpretation of the rules, you should be offside at that moment. But that's not how it's interpreted. If you never touch the ball, they'll allow that to play on, and you can totally get those players napping.
Yeah, and if that happened a lot and you were right, like there was a way to sequence that and set the team up for that, they'd probably end up changing the rule and doing kind of like the same thing of, the way that an offside player can block the vision of the goalkeeper.
Someday when I'm coaching Trinidad and Tobago and we're trying to win the Hex, you're going to see it. Yeah, and we're going to defeat the U.S. national team on 4 of the worst shambolic rule-breaking goals you've ever seen.
Heard it here, people.
I just have this. I've had this like my evil soccer coaching fantasy, Mikey Dobbs. That you get behind. There's a much better team. You got no chance. You're like, I can't beat them. So let's just cheat.
Yeah, no, sneaking and doing unsporting behavior.
That would be unsporting, don't you think?
I do think.
I mean, you're totally taking advantage of the rules.
Yeah. So
that's some egregious sneaking.
That's all I got on the question front, Dave. So we're here again, a third of the way through the season. The team is kind of, I don't know, plateauing in terms of progress. I feel like
plateauing. Okay.
Making some baby steps, but not fixing the critical things.
One thing is that Araujo, Almada, Moreno are starting to click even without Martinez, and you got to figure if Martinez can ever get back. That's going to even more click.
So what's up with Sosa? You mentioned this being at the game. He wasn't even on the bench, right?
Yes. I went researching to the end of the internet, and it turns out he has a slightly strained abductor.
Oh.
Maybe he's been abducted.
Okay. I don't know that I don't know. I feel like there's something maybe brewing.
I don't know either, but
Ibarra is kind of getting the starts, right?
No.
Is he out of favor, you think?
No.
No, you don't think there's something more like that? It's a conspiracy theory from me.
I think that's bunk. I think that he's just got mysterious slight injuries. He came off the whole season. He had the surgery for really we don't know what.
Do you think Sosa could play center back?
Of course Sosa could play center back.
So
have you seen Sosa play? I mean, that guy's
That's
brilliant.
what I'm thinking, right? So I just had that moment right there in my head, right?
Sure.
Because Ibarra seems to be coming into his own. And if you had the Ibarra Sosa and then Josetu in front of
Sosa lacks the pace to be a natural long-term replacement at center back. He's much better in the midfield where it's a little hard to beat him for pace, but he's so smart.
Yeah.
He reads the game.
That's what we're missing, right?
Dijon, clearly not reading the game. Sosa. Have you ever, we've seen it in the last season in particular. Sometimes the other team will get this absolute horrible counterattack. They got 4 guys coming through the middle, and Sosa picks off the pass. And you're like, that can't possibly happen. They had a 4v1, right? He just reads the game beautifully.
Yeah. We're really missing that Miles Robinson pace in the back just to stop the ball from coming over.
You mean
top.
We're missing the best U.S. defender?
Yeah,
why?
Maybe. But no, you can see that teams are clearly trying to take advantage of that direct ball over the top with us now with him out of the equation.
Yeah.
Because with him there before, they're like, that's not a good move.
It's kind of damning, on Franco a little bit, right? Franco came as this hotshot Argentinian player from the Argentinian league, wants to go off to Europe. And to be honest, Miles Robinson's the better player by far.
Yeah.
We get a bad rap, the U.S. We don't develop, backs or whatever, but he's the real deal.
Hope he recovers fast.
Yeah. Very.
Did you watch any of the EPL relegation? I know we got another 2 weeks in the EPL, but
Arsenal lost.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, and so now Tottenham
are in the.
It's not just ahead of Leeds, who's getting relegated.
No, Leeds barely gave themselves a good lifeline.
They're alive now, but they're still getting relegated, Mikey Downs.
So you're saying
there is a chance.
And Tottenham, meanwhile, is moved into the 4th spot and now only needs a win or a tie. And Arsenal, that glorious season that they had.
I don't know. I think Tottenham next year is going to be in the
Man United cruising into 6th place.
Wolves dropping the balls again.
Ranić, who came in with this, he's the father of gegenpressing, right? That Klopp, and Guardiola and a bunch of these people have adopted. And he comes to Man United hoping to rescue the Solskjaer madness, and he has the worst record in Manchester United history after Alex Ferguson. Of all those new coaches, he has the worst by far.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I think that Leeds still has a chance. If they would have won that game, obviously they'd be likely clear. But Burnley also doesn't look great, man.
Leeds is this huge town with this huge stadium and huge support. Burnley is a suburb of Manchester. Do you know that?
Yeah.
And they have what
about the Brentford Bees, man?
Burnley has 20,000 people in the town, and they average 20,000 in the game. So
was that where Rooney went to coach for a little while? Where was he?
No, he's at Derby.
Derby. I always get that confused.
Yeah. But, if you ever want to break into anybody's house, Burnley on a home footballing weekend, every single person's in the stadium, people.
There it is, people. There's your
There's
window.
nobody. You can go in, you can have tea, you can decide, should we take the painting, should we take the carpet, maybe we'll take both.
So, Dave, what else we got? We've got Nashville on the road. What are your predictions for that game?
Not good.
Yeah.
They're really good at home. They've been clearly winning at home. The interesting thing is, as good as Nashville is defensively, we went up there and not only did we score 2 goals, but we looked good for it,
This is like the nonsensical prediction. It's almost like Georgia beating Alabama in the, in the playoffs. After they got beat by Alabama, who, was probably the favorite in the national championship game as well. Yep. I'm going to go with, it doesn't make any sense, Dave, but we beat them because the other team always wins the second game.
It's really hard to beat a good team twice.
Yeah.
And in rapid succession, the team that lost has a huge advantage. And that's why I'm going to say we go and get a miracle tie.
Yeah.
But I don't think we win.
Okay. That would be a decent result, but I'm going to go with the win. Because it doesn't make any sense. It's just what happens in sports in general is going to be my take on that.
Pineda's, it's, God bless him. Some of the things that we've been calling for, no inverted wingers, right? We lined up in this game for the first time with Araujo on the left and Almada on the right and Moreno up the middle. There wasn't an inverted winger. God bless. And Araujo was brilliant. Yeah. Right through that. He was making the runs, and occasionally he can pop over as an inverted and they can switch, no problem. But out on the left, he's just opening all that space. Yeah. New England was just immense.
How well does he cross the ball with his natural left?
He can really whip a ball in.
Now, I think also given more time out there on his natural left, his probing runs were a little awkward because he's kind of coming in from a different angle, but I think he'll course correct that over time. There was one run he made where from the inverted side, he usually does a little bit better.
But when he's on the left, this goal that he scored, the last goal, this left to right run where it's coming across his body and he can settle it on his stronger left foot, right? When the ball's coming across your body, you don't want to settle it on the near foot, right? It's really awkward. Yeah. Right? So that diagonal run from left to middle is much better than trying to do it the other way as a left footer. Yeah. So that's one thing. And then, we're getting a little better on the free kicks in the system that we have, the set piece, but still a shambolic system. Honestly, if you made me the coach 5 minutes before the game, right, I would say 2 things to the team. Okay, forget the 5 people zone and marking. We have 1 near post, 1 far post. Everybody else is man marking and no more goals. Right, that's 1. And 2, right, Lennon, you have to stay at home. There's no more marking the right back from center midfield. And if you did that, we win in Nashville in the U.S. Open Cup.
I'm with you.
And we will win in Nashville if we do that. But why? Why, Mikey Dobbs? Why have we overthought it? Why? Yeah. It's like he gets a paycheck and he has to do something fancy. And he's doing it, and he's stubborn. And he's like, I know it's wrong. I'm slowly changing it, but... Maybe it's all a brilliant disguise, right? That he's just setting us up for a stretch run, and he's like making some mistakes on purpose, and during the season he's gonna fix it, and just to get everything right, and suddenly we're gonna be like, ooh, we're really got momentum, and go into the playoffs and win.
Well, I think like Carmen said, a lot of the things that we're asking for in the podcast, like I didn't even read the article. It sounds like there's some news for the women's soccer team.
Yes,
in Atlanta. That our predictions
we're putting in a bid for
our ass tend to come true.
Yeah, it's almost like Arthur's listening.
Yeah,
maybe he is. Have you checked under the subscribers for an A blank?
I have been tagging Gonzalo Pineda on the no zone defense thing. So
you think he would probably use? He's probably using a pseudonym, right? What would his pseudonym be? Don't know. H Depot.
That's bad. That's almost as bad as your Achilles stuff. We didn't hear an Achilles joke. You must be worried about that.
No, I was told to cease and desist.
Yeah.
And Carmen's a lawyer, so she put it in writing, and it was affidavit, and it was stamped, and there was a witness.
Yes.
And and lying under oath is a bad thing.
Supposedly. But is there anything y'all want to put out in the universe to like have happen?
I do right now. Go to the subscribe
Yes.
subscribe to ATL
Subscribe.
on Fire.
Yep.
We are on YouTube, right?
Yep.
ATL on Fire. Follow us on Twitter at ATL on
Yep.
Fire. If you somehow are watching us on YouTube and you want to listen to us on the podcatchers, we're on all of them. Apple. Dave's an Apple guy. I'm a Google guy. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or really anything that you're using. We're there.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.
Thanks, everybody.